All right, everyone, welcome back for another deep dive.
Hmm.
We love to get into these big topics, and today we're tackling something that's super relevant, I think, for anyone who's really trying to understand India's future, and that is internal migration.
Definitely a hot topic, and especially relevant, we were just saying, for all those UPSC aspirants out there.
Oh, absolutely. This is textbook mains exam material.
Yes.
And to help us really unpack this, we've got a fantastic resource, the recent EAC PM report.
400 million dreams. Catchy title.
It is. It is. And
Mhm.
and what I love about this report is it's not just, the usual dry statistics. It actually uses a really interesting approach. They've used railway ticket data
Oh, wow.
to map these shifting migration patterns. So we're talking about millions and millions of journeys.
Yeah, each ticket representing a person, a story, and you can kind of glean so much from that data about, the trends of where people are going, why they're moving, all of that.
It's amazing, and it throws up some really surprising findings.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, would you believe that West Bengal and Rajasthan are emerging as these major new migration hotspots?
It's interesting because you don't always think of those states when you think about migration, but it reflects the changing economic landscape.
Yeah.
West Bengal, for example, has seen a lot of industrial growth,
Uh-huh.
attracting workers from nearby states like Bihar, Odisha.
So new industries, new opportunities, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
What about Rajasthan, though? What's driving the migration there?
So Rajasthan's case is a bit different. We're seeing a rise in what we call reverse migration. So
Okay.
people who had previously moved to bigger cities are actually coming back,
Interesting.
drawn by, better infrastructure, maybe job opportunities closer to home, that desire to be near family again.
I see reverse migration.
Mm.
That's definitely a term I think our UPSC folks should be taking note of.
Yeah.
But here's another thing that I found really interesting. The report mentions an overall decline in migration since 2011, which seems kind of counterintuitive, right?
Yeah.
You'd think with a growing population, migration would increase,
Yeah.
but they suggest that it's because smaller cities are becoming more attractive.
Yeah, they're offering better opportunities so people don't have to travel as far.
Yeah, it's like the pull of the megacity isn't as strong as it used to be.
And this has huge implications for development planning, right? If
Yeah.
policymakers need to think about housing, transportation, resource allocation, all of that has to be adjusted based on where people are actually moving.
This is textbook UPSC stuff right
Yeah.
here, understanding these trends and how they impact policy.
Right.
So let's actually get into some of those key migration routes that the report highlights.
Sure.
Obviously, you've got the classic Uttar Pradesh to Delhi corridor,
Right.
but also some really interesting emerging pathways. Gujarat to Maharashtra, Telangana to Andhra Pradesh, and then Bihar to both Delhi and West Bengal. What would you say those journeys, what do they look like for people?
Well, you can imagine, a young woman from a small village in Uttar Pradesh boarding a crowded train, leaving her family behind to go to the big city, to Delhi, hoping for a better life, maybe a job to support her family. Or a skilled artisan from Gujarat, drawn by the construction boom in Maharashtra, packing his tools and, heading off filled with uncertainty, but also with hope.
It's like a tapestry of ambition and hardship and resilience all woven together.
Absolutely. And each journey is unique.
So let's zoom in a little bit more. The report highlights some interesting patterns when we look at specific districts.
Yeah.
No surprise that Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata, those are still the top destinations.
They still have that magnetic pull, for so many people. The economic opportunities are very diverse there.
But are there any interesting shifts happening? Like, are there any places that are sending more migrants than they used to? Or
Definitely. So we see districts like Viluppuram in Tamil Nadu, Saharsa, and Bihar, Murshidabad in West Bengal. These are becoming major feeder districts, sending out a lot of migrants. And that shows you how the economic landscape is changing and new corridors of movement are developing.
it's fascinating how dynamic this all is. And speaking of Murshidabad, the report points out that the Murshidabad-Kolkata route is the busiest for general class passengers,
Right.
which I thought was just such a great detail because it reminds you that migration isn't always this big, long distance relocation.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just those everyday commutes.
Right.
People moving within their own states, just trying to, get to a job or to school or whatever it may be.
It's that daily ebb and flow of people that's a really important part of the story, too.
So we've kind of laid the groundwork, explored some of those key findings, and I want to pose a little challenge to our listeners, especially those UPSC aspirants. Imagine you're a policymaker, right? You're faced with this massive movement of people. What are the challenges you foresee, and how would you even begin to address them?
That's a tough question, but a really important one to consider. Thinking about providing enough housing, making sure everyone has access to healthcare and education, managing those transportation systems, and then also addressing any potential social tensions that might arise in those destination areas. It's a lot to juggle.
Yeah, it's a complex puzzle, but one that we have to solve if we want to really make the most of this migration phenomenon and make sure it benefits everyone and make sure India's growth story includes everyone.
Right. It's about making migration work for everyone involved.
Now, all of this railway data gives us an amazing snapshot, but it's important to remember that it has its limitations.
Oh, for sure.
And we'll get into those in the next part of our deep dive, so make sure you stay tuned for that. But for now, I want to remind all our UPSC warriors out there, get your notes ready because we're just getting started.
This is just the beginning.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with your fellow aspirants. We'll be back soon with more.
Definitely looking forward to it. Welcome back to our deep dive into India's migration story.
Yeah, we really got into it in that last part and left our listeners with that, challenge to put on their policymaker hats.
Oh, yeah. Thinking about those big challenges of migration.
And those are definitely challenges that come up again and again in the UPSC exams.
Yeah.
So let's actually dig a little deeper into some of the report's findings, especially when it comes to those major cities that continue to be these like migration magnets.
Right.
The usual suspects, Delhi and Mumbai.
Always a draw, those big metropolises. That promise of opportunity, that urban dream is still so strong for many people.
So for Delhi specifically, where are most of those migrants coming from?
Well, a large chunk are coming from Uttar Pradesh.
Okay.
Think Agra, Patna, Kanpur, Nagar, places that anyone studying Indian geography is going to be familiar with.
Makes sense. But are there any sort of newer trends emerging? Like, are there places that are sending more migrants to Delhi now than they maybe did in the past?
Yeah, actually, we are seeing that Dausa in Rajasthan, for example, and Ludhiana in Punjab. These are popping up as significant origin points. So it seems like Delhi's sphere of influence is widening.
It's like it's reaching further out into those surrounding states.
Exactly.
What about Mumbai? Where are its new streams of migrants coming from?
So Mumbai's story is very much connected to Gujarat and Maharashtra itself.
Okay.
Think Valsad, Surat, Nashik. These are names that come up a lot.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is we're also seeing Sindhudurg emerging as a major origin point.
Oh, wow.
Which suggests some kind of shift, maybe new industries or infrastructure projects that are drawing people to that region.
It's really fascinating to see how these patterns are constantly evolving. And, something that's been on my mind as we've been talking is the report focuses a lot on the economic drivers of migration.
Right.
But isn't there more to it than that?
Yeah.
What about those social and cultural factors?
That's such an important point and something that often gets overlooked. Economic opportunity is huge, but we can't forget about those deep-seated social and cultural motivations.
Yeah, like the desire to be near family, to give your kids better educational opportunities, or maybe even to find a more accepting social environment.
Yeah, these are all powerful motivators.
I mean, think about a family that migrates to be closer to their aging parents or a student who moves to a city with a, renowned university. Those are decisions that go way beyond just economic gain.
Absolutely. And that's what makes this whole topic so much more complex, but also so much more human.
It's not just numbers. It's about people's lives, their hopes, their dreams.
And that adds another layer of complexity to the policymakers' challenge.
Yeah.
How do you craft policies that take into account not just those economic needs, but also those social and cultural factors?
And this brings us back to the data.
Yeah.
While this railway data is super valuable,
For sure.
it only tells us part of the story.
It does. We need more granular information about who's moving, why they're moving, their specific needs and aspirations.
So even more data.
Well, think of it this way. We have the where of migration,
Okay.
but we need a better understanding of the who and the why. Imagine if we could track not just those routes, but also the demographics of the people moving, their age, their education, their skills, the reasons they're going. That level of detail would allow policymakers to create much more targeted interventions.
So it's not just about having more data. It's about having the right kind of data.
Exactly. We need data that tells a richer, more nuanced story data that helps us see the people behind the numbers.
And that's where the report's methodology, while innovative, also has its limitations.
Yes, we need to move beyond just tracking tickets and start capturing those finer details, those human elements that shape the migration experience.
Okay, I'm starting to see the bigger picture here.
Yeah.
We've explored those key findings. We've talked about the methodology. We've discussed those economic drivers, even touched on those really important social and cultural aspects. But there's still this big question looming.
Yeah.
what does all of this mean for India's future?
Yeah.
How do we actually use this knowledge to create real positive change, especially for those who are preparing for the UPSC? How can they apply this?
Such a crucial question, and one that we'll tackle head on in the final part of our deep dive.
Okay, so I'm excited to get into that.
So stay tuned, folks, because we're going to connect all these threads and unravel those implications for policy, for society, for the very future of India.
Welcome back, everyone. We're finally here at the grand finale of our deep dive into India's migration story.
And it's been quite a journey, right? We've uncovered so many fascinating insights.
Yeah, we started with those surprising new hotspots, talked about the power of data, the challenges, the opportunities. It all kind of leads to this question of what does it all mean? Especially for, our listeners out there who are gearing up for the UPSC exams.
Yeah. How can they apply this knowledge to those big essay questions, those policy debates?
So let's put on our policymaker hats for a moment.
Okay, I like it.
If we were in charge, right, how could we use all of this knowledge about migration to actually shape a better future for India?
Well, the report itself offers some really valuable recommendations. It stresses the need for a comprehensive national migration policy.
Okay, a national migration policy. That sounds pretty grand. But what would that actually look like in practice?
Well, think of it as a multi-pronged approach. So first and foremost, we need to improve our data collection.
Okay, we talked about those limitations of the railway data.
Exactly. We need more detailed information about demographics, skills, motivations, really getting a granular understanding of who's moving and why.
So better data to inform better policies. Makes
Yeah.
sense. What else?
Next, we have to invest in infrastructure and basic services in both the origin and destination areas.
So it's not just about attracting people to new places, but about making sure those places can actually support them.
Right. If people are moving to smaller towns and cities, we need to make sure those towns and cities have adequate housing, healthcare, education facilities, all of that.
It's about creating an environment where migrants can thrive, not just survive.
Exactly. And that's where skill development comes in. We need to equip migrants with the skills they need to succeed in their new environments. Targeted training programs, job creation schemes, these are all crucial.
It's like creating a win-win situation. Migrants find better opportunities. The economy benefits from a more skilled workforce.
Exactly. And we can't forget the social dimension integration is key.
Yes, that human element.
We need to create spaces where migrants feel welcome and included in their new communities. Address any potential social tensions, promote cultural exchange. All of that is vital.
So it's not just about economics and infrastructure, but about building a sense of belonging and shared identity.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that migration is this complex, human-driven process that needs to be managed with empathy and understanding.
It's like we just outlined an entire policy agenda here. This is gold for our UPSC listeners.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Use these insights to craft those well-rounded answers in your mains exams.
So to kind of wrap things up here,
Yeah.
I want to leave our listeners with this thought. The map of migration, it's constantly evolving, just like India itself.
It's a reflection of our aspirations, our challenges, and our collective journey towards a better future.
It's a reminder that, we're all in this together.
Exactly. And the more we understand these patterns, these trends, the better equipped we'll be to navigate the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead.
And on that note, folks, we've reached the end of our deep dive. We hope you found it insightful, engaging, and maybe even a little bit inspiring. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Share this episode with your fellow UPSC warriors. And until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep those brain cells buzzing.
Thanks for joining us.